Hi, this is your host, Lori Moilov, and I'm here with a special guest today on the Limitless podcast. That's Ruth Sherman. Ruth, say hi.
Hi.
So today we're going to have a creative conversation, and I thought, what best way, because Ruth, let's talk a little bit about your background. So your background is, how old are you?
104 years old.
Right? I was like 104, so that's like a big accomplishment there. So I guess let's talk about the creativity of, you're 104. How do you keep so youthful and your youthful approach?
I have a good family, good grandchildren and children, and I enjoy being with people. So I don't think of my age. It's just that I enjoy life.
And I love that. And I guess, some people don't know a little bit more about your background is that, not only are you 104, but also you're a Holocaust survivor and you grew up in Berlin. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience in Berlin?
Yeah, I was born in Berlin, Germany, on 5th of July, 1920. And we were not rich, but we were very, very well off. And we always had a maid that took us to the park and that cleaned our house. My mother taught her how to cook. And and I remember my father had a higher position for the Jewish Community Center. There were 1,500 employees.
Wow.
And he has to see that everybody got in time their checks and that people that came from different countries had to have a work permit.
Wow.
And to have the work permit, you have to go to the police station. So my father became very friendly with one of the police officers. And when Hitler came, I know that the policeman said to my father, Martin, they're picking up Jewish men. I don't want you to sleep at home. I give you a telephone, an address from a woman whenever a man was listed, and you can take some of your co-workers along and sleep there. So my father did this, and I remember and see myself still laying in bed with my mother and my sister. Mm-hmm. My sister on one side and me and myself on the other side, and we couldn't sleep. So he did it for 3 days.
Wow.
And my mother told him, please come home. We cannot sleep and we cannot help it. So he came home, and for a few weeks it was okay. Then the policeman said, Morris, I don't think Hitler will be gone soon. Mm-hmm. I think you should leave Germany. And so my mother went to every consulate to get some permission to go over there, but he couldn't get it. And the worst actually was Israel. When my mother went there and wanted to go get permission to go to Israel, Palestine, they told him, well, you have enough money to go at the capital list for 3 people, but you have 4. So you have to leave one daughter here and go over there and then try to get an affidavit. My mother said, thank you very much, but I'm not leaving a daughter here.
Yeah, no.
So then finally my mother found out that Shanghai lets you in if you have the money to pay for everything. So my mother called my father in his office and told him to get all the money from the bank, and we bought 4 tickets for Shanghai.
Wow. And I know you were telling me a while back, I remember in a conversation that you actually saw Hitler on the street as a little girl. Do you remember that memory?
I saw Hitler on the street.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw him once
And
driving
you
by
ran.
in a car. But we could not stay on the street because when we heard he's coming, we ran in the house because everybody that saw him has to raise their hands and greet him. And we as Jewish people could not do it. So we ran in the house and let him drive by. And
Wow.
so we went then. And
You were in Shanghai then.
yeah,
and
we went to Shanghai, and I remember we left a whole big apartment, huge, with all the furniture, silver, gold, whatever you had. We had to bring even our jewelry before we left some weeks
We
before.
have Lulu who wants to be on the podcast. Lulu, you want to say hi to our limitless guests? Lulu, she wants her toy. So, I guess, Ruth, my question for you is, with the creativity of, survival, right? Because you guys had to survive those really interesting times, I guess. What were some of the ways creatively when you were at the Shanghai camp? What were things that helped you get through the time?
Well, we said, my father said Shanghai, and my mother said, yes, we have to get away here. The policeman told you, leave. And so we went to Shanghai, and when we arrived in Shanghai, we were 26 days, I guess, on the boat, but not a luxury liner. This was terrible. We stood on the track like sardines, put together, and they drove us to a camp, which was, it used to be, I think, what do you call where priests or pastors, whatever you call it, and women, I think it was Catholic something, but they gave it to us. And so my sister and I, we stayed in one house with 16 other girls or women, bunk beds, up and down. Nothing, no heat, no warm water, nothing. And my parents were in another house in a room with 5 or 6 other couples. They all had bunk beds up and down. We took the suitcase, the one that we could take along, and put something over. This was our table.
Wow.
So
how, with your family there, I guess in that time, where did you find moments where you could feel like, it wasn't normal, right?
No.
It wasn't normal at all.
No.
But how did you creatively find ways to survive and also, find community even though you were in Shanghai? I guess, how did you do that? How did you go about that?
They were all Jewish people. We all were the same. And the only thing that the people from Austria, Vienna, don't get along with the German from Berlin. We even had fights on the boat where they wanted to throw one man overboard.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so Austrian and German don't get along at all.
Oh wow, I never knew that.
Yeah, because they always said, see, you waited so long when lived under Hitler, and when to Austria, to Vienna, Hitler came, we tried to go right away. So, but then in the camp, my father tried to do, the people there, there were some actors, some musicians, and they made Saturday some entertainment for us. And so my father played the piano, and
speaking of that,
harmonium.
creative. So creativity has been in
my
your blood.
father was we were only raised with music. We
Wow.
always had a piano. My father played every day. My sister and I stood next to him. We were singing.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we had really a wonderful life before Hitler came.
Yeah. And my question, I guess, like, you came to the States over here in America, and when you came, you were still kind of in a creative space because you were a tailor, or what kind of work did you do?
I was sewing at the tailor. I was making buttonholes, and then for the men, the piqué, they'd say piqué, you piqué the lapel.
Mm-hmm. The lapel.
By hand, yeah.
Oh, wow, by hand. And I think even here, do you still have, I thought I saw maybe the machine. Do you have the machine here?
No, I have a sewing machine.
Yeah, you have a sewing machine, but,
yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought that was the machine that you used. Yeah.
No.
And technically, this room here that we're in, this room, right, is the room you, I guess, shared part of your story too. Ruth, is that also, with your creativity of surviving and finding ways, and your dad in music, it's interesting because generations after, your grandkids, your kids, they're in creative spaces too. I know your son does architecture, and your grandsons. I guess, can you tell me a little bit about your family and their creativity?
Oh, my grandfather was the Oberkantor. Kantor is a chasm in temple.
Okay.
And he was the highest one in Berlin.
Oh,
he
wow.
was born in Vilna.
Okay.
And I still have here songs that he composed, and I have, when he had 25th anniversary, I have papers here and things like that. I took it all from Germany, and we took it, not me.
Yeah.
To Shanghai, from Shanghai to here.
Oh, wow. So you still have it?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. We'll have to show some of these. Where is it?
I have it in the cab.
Okay, yeah. I'll video it so that our guests and listeners can see some of that too. So the creativity continues, right?
Yeah,
through your family.
Yeah. And so I had 2 children. I got married to somebody from Shanghai. Mm-hmm. His father and 3 brothers came on the boat with us to Shanghai. My husband was a month before me there in Shanghai, because he was the only one that was not in a concentration camp. His father and brothers were all there. Mm-hmm. And so when they went to the concentration camp, they gave my husband all their jewelry, and he had it in his pocket. So when he walked on the street, the Nazis came and they confiscated everything, and they found the jewelry.
Yeah,
so
I can imagine.
They took it and they took my husband to jail.
Oh my gosh.
So he was there 1 or 2 days in jail. He said, you wouldn't believe it. No window, nothing. A room you can hardly breathe. But they only told him, if you can prove you leave Germany, we will let you go.
Wow.
So now can you leave Germany? But my husband had an uncle who was very religious, Orthodox, and he had always wanted to go to Palestine, to Israel.
Interesting.
But he bought a ticket for Shanghai in case something happened. So when he heard that my husband is in jail and that he only can get out of jail when he gets a ticket to somewhere to go, he gave my husband his ticket. And so that's why my husband got right out and went right to Shanghai.
And that's where you guys met?
I met him in there.
Yeah.
And his uncle never made it to Israel. He was killed in a concentration camp.
Oh my.
So I met him there because on Saturday nights or so on weekends, all the young people that were teenagers got together in one of those big rooms. There was no light, nothing, but we sang, we told jokes, and we entertained ourselves.
Yeah.
And
that was part of the creativity of getting through that time.
yeah. And there were a lot of musicians, comedians that entertained us on weekends. And so we were there 8.5 years in the camp.
Wow.
We had nothing to eat. My mother gave a wedding band for one bread.
Oh my gosh. Wedding band for one bread. And how long did the bread last?
Not much, we were 4. And my mother didn't want to eat anything. She said, the kids are in growing age. I want them to eat.
Wow.
So.
Wow, I didn't know that part, that your mom gave up her wedding band.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
And I sold whatever they had just to get some food. Because we got food there, which they brought from one camp. There must have been 5, 6 camps, I guess. And it's not Shanghai, it was Hongqiu. It's about...
How do you say it? Hongqiu?
Hongqiu.
Hongqiu, okay.
It's what is suburb from Shanghai.
Oh, so it's borderline, like it's...
Yeah, so it's right after.
Okay. And then, I guess...
We lived there for 8.5 years until we could go to America.
We talked about creativity and some of the creative things that you did in the camp. Like you said, there were comedians, musicians, so kept you guys at least entertained during this very difficult time. Yeah. And then you also mentioned how your mom gave, I'm so perplexed. Like your mom gave her wedding band for bread.
Yeah.
I just can't believe that.
Because she always was worried that we are in growing state and don't have enough to eat.
Wow. That was very kind of your mom. I mean, I know during that time you kind of, there was a lot of different things that you had to do.
The food that we got came in big, big kettles. And from one camp to the other, which is a long, long way. And by the time it came, it had worms in it, it had already everything in it. You couldn't eat it. Throw it out.
Yeah.
So we had to see that we get something for ourselves. So my mother had a little, like a flower pot. We put some coals, those hot things in there, and she lit it, made a little fire, and then whatever we could afford or have, she cooked on there.
Wow. Yeah, and we were speaking about, your dad being a creative, that he played, played music. And then also, you and your own creativity of like being working as a tailor, sewing, you said sewing buttons and...
big buttonholes, and then we said in Germany, pikieren, this is the lapel, the suit that the men have before they put the regular, the material on. They had something, it looked like, light, like gauze or something you put in, and then you stitch it.
These limitless listeners, they're not 104 like you.
Yeah.
So I guess, are there some creative tips and some tips that you can give them for a long-lasting life just like you? You're 104. I thought you were 103, but 104.
It's only a year.
I know, only a year. I was off by a year. Oh my gosh. I guess, can you give some of our listeners some tips? Maybe a few tips.
Tips to be
You
live
know,
through love.
yeah.
You enjoy life. You have a
You
good
do it.
family. You are good together, and nice grandchildren. They all work. They all have professions, and we just enjoy life.
So I guess the key is enjoy life.
Yeah.
So would that be kind of in correlation to the one word? I guess it's two words, but I'll give that to you. Enjoy life. Would that be your connection to creativity?
Yeah, I think so, because you want to be together with those people, you want to do things, you go someplace with them, or you have them for dinner, or you go out with them for dinner, so that we all together. We don't have to be together 24 hours every day,
Yeah.
but at least call, see how your mother is. And the oldest grandson, the others say the same thing. They will always say, "I love you, I love you."
So
that's what I like.
Yeah, so it's about enjoying life, being together with family,
Right.
calling each other, having that sense of community and love, especially the love. Yeah, I totally agree, and I know my Limitless listeners, they're going to enjoy this episode with you, Ruth. And I know also, recently, you were on Jimmy Kimmel, and that was a fun experience. Can you talk a little bit? You were telling me at dinner tonight about it. Can you tell some of our listeners about that experience on Kimmel?
We went in the lobby and the lounge, and we went to the show. They took pictures of us, they talked to us. The entertainer came to us and hugged me. And it was really, really beautiful, and I have pictures. And my daughter, when she came to work, she got telephone calls from all over in the United States where people saw us on this show.
That must have been exciting. And then also, I think you said Tiffany Haddish was there, and she came over and gave you a hug.
Yeah, she hugged and kissed me. And it just happened when I told my grandson, the one you just talked, that she was there. He said, "Oh, she belongs to my temple. She was 3 years ago. She had their bas mitzvah there."
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Small world.
Yeah. And her father's Jewish. Yeah.
And also, speaking of Tiffany Haddish, at that time she was releasing a song, and then Small World also is that. I guess the song that she released was written by Diane Warren.
Yeah.
Isn't that a small world? So shout out to Diane and also Cindy. That I told them that you were on that episode, and I sent it to them, and they got a good kick.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I guess creativity is just in Ruth's terms, enjoy life, right?
Yeah.
So it's just enjoy life.
Yeah, enjoy your family, your life, and be good to each other.
Yeah, I agree. Be good to each other. And speaking of that, talking about Limitless and being creatives, we got to be good to each other as creatives. We got to honor each other's creativity and let each other enjoy life, right? Because that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So thank you, Ruth, for being on the podcast. And we appreciate having you and sharing some of your creative story, your life.
Yeah,
and
it's my pleasure.
And I love having you, and I also, enjoy being your roommate when I can.
Yes.
So, speaking of creativity, keep being creative out there and just enjoy life. Have fun with your creativity and share it. Share it with your family. Share it with your friends, because you never know who you're going to inspire by the work you do, right?
Right.
Yeah. So thank you, Ruth.
You're welcome.